I got an email the other day, and this was a betrayed spouse, and she happened to be pretty fired up and say, you know, my spouse did a lot of recovery work, and all he did was go through the motions. All he did was seemingly check boxes, and we never gained any significant ground. I still feel like my spouse is continuing to just kind of check boxes, but not get anything out of it. In recovery, it's a fairly common denominator that lots of spouses will feel as though their spouse is just going through the motions. In recovery, it is very common when a spouse is 1 foot in, 1 foot out, or unsure or undecided, or still, torn, to just kind of check boxes. Yeah, I'll do the free boot camp at affairrecovery.com. Sure. Yeah, I'll do, the EMS weekend. Check. I'll do all these things. I'll go to counseling. And it doesn't really do much because I'm sorry, checking the boxes at this level of trauma, at this level of warfare, at this level of life interruption will never work. You can't just check boxes and expect to gain any significant ground in recovery whatsoever. I just today want to kind of hit the tuning fork to help you understand if you're a spouse, and really this is true for the betrayed as well as it is for the unfaithful, because oftentimes betrayed spouses can kind of check boxes, right? We'll go to counseling, or we'll kind of listen, or we'll do this or that, but we're really not engaging. And I just want to tell you, this level of hurt and pain is off the chart. You have to work hard to get worse than this. Now, there are some instances certainly that are worse, and rape and molestation and things of that nature, the death of a child, are really incredibly sensitive issues that are about some of the only things that rival infidelity. But I want to tell you today, if you're checking boxes, if you're just going through the motions, it's only going to actually make things worse, not better. Your answer, your retort might be, well, what does it mean to just kind of check the boxes of recovery? If I'm checking boxes in recovery work, what does that mean? Well, the first thing is, and I wrote a few things down that I thought would be relatively good examples, is the first thing is, whether you're a betrayed spouse or you're an unfaithful spouse, you appreciate the information but constantly refuse to administer it to your own heart and your own situation. What that means is, oh, great information at the EMS weekend, or oh, yeah, the boot camp is great, and you appreciate the information, but you don't apply it. And so many spouses will say, oh, that's good, but they won't apply it. They won't apply it outside of their counseling session or outside of the recovery kind of moment with their spouse. They just kind of punch the time card and then move on down the road, going back to the same conversations, the same pornography, the same affair partner, the same places that they shouldn't be going in the first place, the same. Another good example, and I think I was the chief at this, is that you recognize the information as accurate, as truth, but constantly set yourself up as the exception to that truth. Well, that may be true, but for me, or well, that might be true for most betrayed spouses, but Samantha, or my spouse is the exception, because we love to say, well, that's might be true for other people, but for me, I wasn't that bad. I didn't do that. I didn't do this. I can't tell you the multitudes of unfaithful spouses I've talked to that we'd love to say, well, at least I didn't do this or this or this, or well, it wasn't as bad as this, or I can't believe they're so angry when I really only did this. We recognize truth, but we continue to make ourselves the exception. This one is kind of a two-parter. The first part is we constantly put the onus on our partner or our spouse to do the heavy lifting. We continue to say, yeah, I've got some issues, but man, if my spouse would do X, Y, and Z, then that would really help us. Like, if they weren't the way they were, we would be in so much better shape. We're just checking boxes of kind of participatory boxes, punching the time card, but constantly putting the onus on our spouse to do the heavy lifting. Part two to the one I just gave you is, we will change only after our spouse changes first. I mean, we just say, you know what, sure, I'll make changes, I'll do that, but you have got to do your changing first. I am going to kind of sit back and, I'm here, I'm reading, I'm participating, I'm doing my part, but I'm not doing X until you do Y. And unfortunately, a lot of times it's the unfaithful that says, well, when you stop nagging me, or when you have more sex, or when you pay attention to me more, or when you stop talking about the affair, then I'll make some significant changes. That's hurtful. It doesn't work that way. It's completely misguided. It's selfish. It's self-absorbed. And it is damaging your spouse and stalling your recovery. Now, there is a caveat that at some level the betrayed spouse has every right to say, look, I'm not going to do significant recovery work until you decide that you will do recovery work. Like, I'm going to do my own recovery work, but I'm not going to keep chasing you, begging you to do recovery work. In that instance, it's a little bit different. There's no reason for you as a betrayed to constantly chase your spouse and constantly, beg them. There is a point where you do have to say, look, I'm no longer willing to do that. If you will meet me in the middle, we'll do some great recovery work, but I'm going to work on me. I'm not going to continue to chase you. Finally, if you're an unfaithful and you are wondering, why is my spouse so quick to get upset? Why is my spouse so quick to get suspicious and so quick to jump to conclusions and so quick to, get so angry? Well, there's a lot of reasons, but in this particular video blog, it might be because you're just going through the motions and checking boxes rather than engaging your heart and your will and effort to be engaged in both of your recoveries.